Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, the world's most watched professional wrestling news program. Dameon Nelson, sitting alongside the man they call Meathead and the Cos, Frank Cosentino. Thank you so much for joining us here this week of February 9, 2009.
We're giving you a stimulus of professional wrestling.
Yeah. It's my month, you know.
What are you talking about? It's your month.
I enjoy the month of February. It's just a fun month for me.
Because it's President's Day?
I'd like to welcome back you two, as we have talked about for the last few weeks. It's the three-man team back here on the Pro Wrestling Report. 2 men, a guy, and a pizza place, actually.
Ryan Reynolds.
He was in that show?
Yep.
And we thank you guys for tuning in. We've got 2 huge topics this week. First of which is obviously the controversy stemming from that incident between a fan and Chris Jericho from this past weekend. And we're going to preview WWE No Way Out, which comes up just this Sunday on pay-per-view. The road bump to WrestleMania, Frank. 2 Elimination Chamber matchups. Yep. We'll go through the entire lineup for that event. But first, let's give you a little bit of history as to what happened this past weekend at a WWE house show with Chris Jericho. Here's what we know at this point. Chris Jericho was leaving an event, at which point he was attempting to get into his vehicle. A fan, or a series of fans, had been accosting him for the entire evening of the event, and things came to a head in the parking lot as they were continuing to badger him, going a bit further than the traditional wrestling fan may go. You know, they say they're different in Canada. Going a bit further than the traditional...
The show was in Canada, correct?
Yes. Going a bit further than the traditional wrestling fan would go, Chris Jericho was physically provoked and attacked back a fan, specifically a female fan, which is one of the big roots of controversy, and basically was seemingly in a situation where he was forced to react. So obviously, recently on this show, we talked about when does a fan go too far? When we had reports of a Randy Orton incident at a house show, I believe, somewhere here in the States. But the question is, when does a fan go too far? And I think we saw the answer to that in the video that you can view at pwrshow.com. But I want to get your analysis, fellas, on what you think from what you saw of the incident. Should Jericho be punished for the incident? Should the fans be punished for the incident? And where did it all go wrong? And we'll start with you, the man they call Meathead.
Well, it's no secret that I am the biggest Chris Jericho guy on here. He is my top wrestler. If I had a top 5 list, which we do have, by the way, Jericho is my guy.
So he's in your top 5?
Yeah, he's also...
He's in there?
Yeah, he's in my top 5, along with Verizon and Alltel and all those other guys. And Charles Barkley. Jericho was in a...
Because he got arrested here in Milwaukee.
Jericho was in a no-win situation. Jericho didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to get through an intersection, as far as I understand, and he was unable to, therefore got out of the car, hoped that he could maybe persuade them, hey man, I'm just trying to get out of here, I'm trying to take off, I got to move on to the next show. The real people that caused the problem were the fan boyfriend, and the lack of security.
Competent security.
These guys weren't competent at all. They were just a bunch of dorks.
Did they have their sleeves rolled up? Because, you know, that's a sign of a good security guard, is if they roll up their T-shirt sleeves and their numbers faded on the back.
Yeah, no.
That makes them a badass, in case you didn't know.
Yeah. It's not RTM.
Really badass if they got a pack of cigarettes
rolled up in there. Yeah, but it's not.
And
1973.
It would be either Newports or Cools, right?
Cools, yeah. Cools. And Marlboros sometimes, too. The security
smoking never
solves anything. The security did nothing. Absolutely nothing. You hear in the video later on Chris Jericho going, do your effing job. Do your effing job. I mean, Chris tried to talk to the security and tried to get them to, you know, escort this guy up. That guy's a problem. That guy's a problem. And in the background you can hear, Chris, can I take a picture with you? Can I take a picture with you? Oh my God, take some more Ritalin, woman. That's the one that caused the problem. If I'm reading this video right and I'm watching this video right, she is the one that caused the problem. So,
Frank, your thoughts? And you make some very valid points there. I think the key, sorry Frank, the key is one statement that seemed to have provoked Jericho beyond all others is you're a disgrace to Canadians. And obviously he's a heel. So of course you're going to have fans badgering. I mean, you remember back in the day, Frank, and maybe you'll talk about this in your analysis of it, also, at the Mecca Arena here in downtown Milwaukee, you know, their fans would try to attack the wrestlers. You know, we had Greg Gagne on the radio show this past Monday, obviously going back to the earlier days of of the AWA, Milwaukee being one of their strongest areas, and he talked about a little bit of that. You really were concerned about the safety of the athletes, the wrestlers, which is where security came into play, and a smart performer. And in this incident, it was simply him being provoked and waiting, I think, until the very last possible moment by which he could not sit idly by any longer and reacting to that provocation. Frank.
Okay, anyway, I'm sorry, and you kind of interrupted Frank and myself from finishing. Also, the answer to your questions, there shouldn't be any punishment for Jericho. He should be able to go about his business as per usual. And there should be punishment for the fan, and there should be fired security guards.
There was, both of those fans were taken into custody, however, no charges were filed against them.
Frank Costantino.
How many fans do you think there were?
There were usually 30 to 40 people, at least in the shots and the video footage that we've been able to see.
It looked like cell phone video.
And to what we saw, it literally Jericho couldn't move his car.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that I kind of perceived the thing. Chris, you're a great guy. Unfortunately, you made a little mistake. Here's your mistake. You don't get out of your car. And here's the reason why. First of all, and it depends how many fans. If it's 1 or 2 fans, you may get out of the car. But the moment you step out, there's some people that are like, hey, it's Chris Jericho. Great, he's coming out to say hi. And then and then Chris Jericho, Chris Jericho, Chris Jericho. And now you've got too many people in front of you. That's your mistake. Now, granted, you're frustrated. You want to move your car. You don't want to run over anybody. So you're thinking, let me just get out and take care of this. But Chris, you can't do that because there are a couple people that they're pissing you off, but there's many more people that are not pissed at you. They just want to see you. And they want to, oh, he's out of the car. So that's unfortunately where your mistake is. Now, he's provoked. You have every right to hit back. The other thing, if you're in your car, and you can, and there are some people, like if you get close enough to someone, and they say, well, you're using your car as a weapon. So yeah, you throw that into it also, get out of your car, it makes sense. My opinion, Chris, you stay in your car, you honk your horn like crazy until you get security to figure out, well, you get these people out of the way. You don't come out in frustration and say, security, you're not doing your bleeping job, bleeping. To the moment you start using vulgarities, everything gets out of control. Now, you're frustrated, and that's it. But at some point, with wrestling, I think they do this, maybe I'm wrong, when you're in a group of people, they kind of teach you what, you're in a group of people you ignore.
It's basic protection measures.
Right. Now, security should get gone, fired. They were.
That's something that all three of us agree on.
They're gone. If they can't figure this out, that Chris can't move his car, you've got to know. That's like 101.
They seemed almost dead. They seemed like, the one guy who was prominently featured never moved and seemed to be slightly overwhelmed by the situation. I'm lucky enough to have at least a little bit of security experience in a major entertainment facility, and you never first turn your back to the incident, and second, you always get the resources there to deal with the people that need to be dealt with, and you isolate the situation by removing the problem.
Yes.
The problem in that situation was Chris Jericho, not the fans. He should have been removed and expedited out of wherever he was.
Correct.
In order to diffuse that situation. Right. But completely inept. And yes, I do think that they are trained to deal with those situations. But this was a bit unique. And as you said, Frank, I completely agree. Chris Jericho should have never stepped out of that vehicle. But who else? Who knows what else was going on? But
exactly, we don't know all the circumstances around. So should Chris get, punishment? No, he shouldn't. He's defending himself for one thing, from what we saw. But what he should say, maybe publicly, is like, I apologize for using vulgar language, stuff like that, just to make himself look better. However, he should say in a stern voice, if you're a fan, you don't run in front of my car, you don't do stuff like that, because I'm going to run you over.
I agree, and I don't agree only because I agree that that should be said, but not by Chris. It should be a statement released by Chris in a print version from WWE.
This all fits perfectly into his character.
No, I got that. But
make a storyline out of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Show footage.
No,
Why not?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Chris should not be the one that says it, so he can be the heel still. Make the company say it.
Maybe Mickey Rourke comes in and makes the save for the fans.
Well,
These fans will probably end up getting a contract out of this.
that's what I'm thinking. If he uses a storyline
one-time
that the
deal.
two people are there like, hey, that's part of me. I want some of this thing. They get a lawyer, then you got problems.
Now, clearly, Chris Jericho hit a woman. My God, that's a woman.
Yep.
And unlike, Jeff Jarrett back in his angle with, I think it was Deborah McMichael, you, a woman, he's going to talk to me, a man, like that. But here's the thing, he hit a woman, and I always, I liked watching Jerry Springer back in the day, and, these girls would get up in their man's faces and provoke. And quite frankly, it's game on, especially if the first...
When the lights go out and the game is on, are you ready for me? Because I'm ready for you.
I like the Limp Bizkit.
Not Limp Bizkit, moron.
She swung the first punch. She physically asserted herself towards him into his vehicle and swung at him and attacked him. But there's this philosophy out there among some women, that once they're struck, oh, he's going to jail, he's going to have to pay all these fines, and unfortunately a lot of municipalities back that up. But quite frankly, if she's going to throw the first punch, she's just opened the door, the bell has rung, and it's time to knock her the heck out. I mean, that's what, he was in a situation that perfectly describes that. She provoked him. He simply went into a defense mode. And then the other gentleman got involved, and then several other people got involved, and Jericho mistakenly put himself deeper into the threat area and could have really been lynched and mobbed, especially when you had that inept security there that did not know what they were doing. Ultimately, cooler heads prevailed. WWE released a statement subsequently about the situation. And there certainly shouldn't be any reprimand against Jericho for this. Absolutely not. He did nothing wrong but defend himself. Contrary to what you said, Frank, in my opinion, he did nothing wrong but defend himself. He could have made a better choice in the situation by remaining in his vehicle. But at the point where he needed to address the inept security team, which is why he could have rolled the window down, I guess. But I believe the key reason he first got out of the vehicle before the attack occurred was to tell the security group to do their blanking jobs. And that was the reason that the perimeter was breached, if you will. Yeah, and she was able to get in. And
he lit a spark, which...
I thought it was always burning since the world's been turning.
I also want to point out that if you pull the thing back a little bit, we let Frank talk for a good 4 minutes. Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's a new, with Obama becoming president.
What does that have to do with anything? Why is everybody going to bring that up to me? Every time I turn around, somebody says something about Obama being the president.
Look, you're even right-handed now.
He's left-handed. As is
John
McCain.
I mean, I'm even on the wrong side of the table. Or am I on the right side of the table?
Lots of fan conversation about this situation, especially in the PWR community. And we talked about it on PWR Radio this past Monday night with both Greg Gagne and Al Snow. And if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check out the PWR Radio version right at the bottom of the page, or by clicking on the latest episode link via PWR Radio. But interesting insight from them, obviously, having been in the situation, and not that situation specifically, but certainly being in similar situations. And, there was an incident with Maria at an auto show this past week where a male fan, lunged himself towards her. That was diffused, really not much news made of this. Now, this incident could have happened, and may have happened many a time before, by the way.
Right.
The only problem is somebody had video of it. And, that then you have to explain it when it's, it's like a dashboard cam from a police car. You got to explain it when the video pops up. And it's unfortunate. It's fortunate and unfortunate. Unfortunate for WWE that the video got out. But fortunate for WWE that the video was conclusive enough to show that Chris Jericho was clearly provoked in that situation. Right? And that the clips utilized by TMZ and other news organizations that reported showed both sides of it. However, all they care about, the Foxes of the world, the NBCs of the world, is what's going to keep those viewers and get those ratings. And the story is wrestler attacks fan.
Right.
That's the unfortunate part of it.
Now, there's that saying, bad publicity is good publicity, however it goes. Look for Vince McMahon to somehow, like we kind of mentioned, maybe not the storyline itself, but, okay, we've got Chris Jericho on front pages of
major publication.
Chris Jericho,
no, he's been main eventing.
Put into this mainstream situation with Mickey Rourke, which may or may not materialize. This is a godsend for WWE.
Right, it's just perfect.
I got to ask this silly question.
You just did. You can ask another one if you'd like.
Is this a work?
Absolutely not.
Now, it crossed my mind.
Absolutely
It
not.
crossed my mind, but when you're dealing
I
with...
did not schedule or work with that fan, Miss Ugly.
Who was wearing a John Cena shirt, by the way?
Yeah.
Well, it just came from the wrestling event, so...
Do you think it's a work?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Well, here's the
But
problem.
you throw it out there, because it could, I mean...
But that video shows exactly what's wrong with a lot of you wrestling fans out there.
Uh-oh.
You don't get it. You don't understand. As Frank said earlier,
Damien's pointing a finger at you.
You see a wrestler. And, we learned early on. Now, I was that fan, by the way. You learn these things as you deal with them. But did you see a wrestler and nobody else is around and you've got an opportunity to go and approach that person and have a cordial conversation with them? You don't yell, John Cena! Because all the other little ears are going to perk up and you've got yourself a situation. They hate that. They hate it when you come up to them at dinner and ask for autographs because it's just rude, to be honest with you. And I'm somewhat of a star. That's what you're supposed to say, somewhat. Livewire 1996, JR and Vince McMahon.
Anyway, continue.
And you just have to be respectful and mindful of these situations. Now, again, I said Jericho was a heel. And obviously, you're going to try to provoke a heel. Makes some sense. But this fan, these two idiot fans, showed exactly, and I hope they're watching, because I'm sure they are loving all the coverage of this situation with
Oh,
them.
they got paid. Whoever had the cell phone, by the way, got paid.
Just got paid.
That's right.
Friday
TMZ gave us
night.
someone.
But they, really showed what's wrong with a lot of wrestling fans out there. Is there's a line that is either to be crossed or not to be crossed, and more fans than not realize when not to cross it. But some fans realize don't realize when they shouldn't
You've
cross it.
confused me already.
I tend to do that. And these fans clearly crossed the line, and Chris Jericho was forced to react. Again, I don't fault Chris Jericho one bit. I think he made a bad choice. However, I don't think he did anything that reasonably could not have been expected out of anyone else in a similar situation.
Any human being.
Superstar or not,
Yeah.
exactly. So, we'll see what comes of this. I think WWE could make something of this because they're so in the right on this situation. It wasn't in the arena. It wasn't part of the event. It was simply an altercation on the street. The police were involved. The police did question the two fans and many others, obviously. Brought them in, never really charged them with anything or held them, released them. I mean, this is a situation that it's just like when Shawn Michaels got beat up in the bar in Syracuse. And, they came back and he lost his smile. They made into a bit of an angle. I think they've got an opportunity here. Because Jericho's an ass. Jericho, his character, is an asshole. And Jericho...
Whoa. Anyway.
Jericho hates the fans. Fans got in his face. He attacks said fans. Now, the risk you run with that is provoking further opportunities for fans to do that. But you just protect
You got to
Jericho
understand
better.
that we're taping this prior to Monday Night Raw of this week. We don't know if Jericho's actually come out to the ring and used this
I think
already.
the pyro just went off.
Right. Matter of fact, that would be the opportunity tonight for Jericho either to come out or when they know that they get their highest rating, like at the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock hour, depending when you're watching it. Where's your highest rating? All right, Chris, now's your time. They'll take advantage of it, as they should. That only makes sense if you're in any kind of business mind and you're one of the brilliance in Vince McMahon to do so. So they'll take advantage of it, see if it's got legs.
And if they know how to use them?
And yeah.
That's where you do the bets.
Did I do Frank's thing?
No, Frank does it better.
Okay. No Way Out, NWO. Are
No,
we done
again,
with Jericho?
your comments have been blowing up on the PWR website,
Blowed up, yeah.
PWRshow.com, and we solicit those comments to keep on coming and let
The new website, by the way.
community discuss on the brand new PWRshow.com with features continuing to be rolled out. Now, speaking of rolling out, that's what a lot of people are going to do to see No Way Out this Sunday on pay-per-view from World Wrestling Entertainment. On PWR Radio this past week, we talked about TNA's Against All Odds pay-per-view, which delivered great professional wrestling, but overall left a lot of fans not necessarily happy with the end result. That's what WWE is so great at. They can send you home happy so you forget if there was crap on the rest of the pay-per-view. TNA's got a little work to do in that regard. But be that as it may, this Sunday, it is the Elimination Chamber matches headlining No Way Out. But before we get to those Elimination Chamber matchups, we have 3 other matchups to talk about, first of which is recently added. For the ECW Championship, Jack Swagger will take on your guy, Finlay with Hornswoggle. Frank, your thoughts on that matchup with the new ECW champion, Jack Swagger?
I think this will be the first match of the evening. in my opinion. I think Jack Swagger continues and keeps the belt.
He retains. All this because Horny took his belt.
Yeah.
At least he didn't throw it in a river.
Jack Swagger, undefeated.
You're not interested in this match at all?
No, dude,
No,
I can't look at Swagger because of his teeth. I just
His
can't.
teeth, Vicky's arm fat,
Yeah. Stephanie's,
boobies.
sure.
I thought they hit the floor.
There was one time she had him around her waist.
Was it at Band Camp? I am becoming a fan of Jack Swagger. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened either because I'm a fan
It's
of
his
the great
song.
Khali.
It's his song.
If you haven't picked up the Voices CD, I'm sorry, the Randy Orton theme song single with some other bonus tracks on it. That's really all that's selling it.
Yeah, and the Kelly song, by the way, that one's been done. I have that version already.
That is very true.
They say that they're all new unreleased tracks. All I did was just mix it.
Khali's Indian Rhapsody. It's just fun to listen to, folks. That's some getting down music. I was backing it up in the club to Khali's music the other night.
All right.
With 50 Cent. I hang out with 50, you know.
Did he change his
Chris?
name?
No.
Curtis Jackson.
Yeah, I can call him Chris. But yeah, Jack Swagger, I don't know. I mean, it's
It's
intriguing.
starting
And
to
when
draw
you,
me a little bit, but it's going to take a while.
so both of you think Swagger takes the title and walks
Keeps
out
the
with
title.
Keeps the title and walks out with it. Finlay doesn't get his chance.
No.
JBL versus Shawn Michaels a little earlier than we thought we were going to see it. We thought this might be pushed to WrestleMania, but we get it at No Way Out. And obviously you know what happened leading up to this matchup. JBL took the employ of Shawn Michaels, took advantage of that opportunity. Shawn Michaels obviously no longer interested in that agreement, but this matchup will occur on No Way Out, and obviously Shawn will have to work for JBL for the rest of his life if he loses the match, and he will become the owner of Shawn Michaels' name. And if Shawn Michaels wins, he gets to quit and gets a severance package. I mean, it's almost ridiculous talking about this, folks. They're going to wrestle JBL versus Shawn Michaels. Break your thoughts.
This could be your DQ of the
Why does it? He hates him, but picks one for every pay-per-view.
Because I mean, you figure there's got to be one.
It's like you want it so you can perpetuate.
Because the only option
Yeah, that's it.
the one
He
option
brings
I
it
can't
up.
see is JBL winning it.
But somebody's got to win.
No. And why
But
couldn't
if Shawn loses, he has to continue working for JBL, perpetuating the
Yeah, well,
storyline.
that's
I don't
why
think
I'm-
it's gotten stale yet.
That's why I'm thinking that Shawn either wins or it's a DQ. I don't see JBL winning it because then okay, here we go, continue the storyline. That won't happen. Well, if you get a DQ, this could be the match at WrestleMania. That's what I think is going to happen. I hope I'm wrong.
Frank says it ends in a disqualification. The man they call Meathead, or should I say Cosmo?
Cosmo says, Shawn Michaels. Cosmo
We're talking about
says-
JBL, you know.
Yeah.
There's cows in his thing.
Cosmo says-
Bulls, rather.
Cosmo says that Shawn Michaels will win this match, but there will be a follow-up match at WrestleMania.
And I'm not going to pick one. No holds barred.
No!
What
no!
did I do? What happened?
No! Listen here, Sam Cassell. You're going to pick a winner.
Why am I Sam Cassell?
Somebody called you Sam
Why
Cassell.
can't I be Yao Ming?
Well, Sam Cassell looks more like you, kind of like Quark from Star
He's a
Trek.
lucky man.
No, he's not. Have you ever seen Sam Cassell? Look like he got hit by a frying pan.
Is it hot?
Anyways, you pick a winner for Shawn Michaels JBL.
Well, obviously I'm going to pick the wrestling god.
Mark the tape.
Yeah, you mark the tape. Go
Okay,
right ahead.
so
Mark the tape. How do you mark a tape anyways? Why don't you go to, you don't even know what marking the tape
You go
is,
back
do you?
there and you take a marker and you go.
No holds barred. Randy Orton versus Shane McMahon. You know what happened? Vince got kicked in the head. Shane came out to avenge his papa. And now we have this matchup set for No Way Out.
Randy Orton doesn't kick the crap out of him. You're going to see some high spots from Shane McMahon because he can. But Randy Orton wins this thing at the end.
You're going to see Shane McMahon make all the other wrestlers look bad. Again, as we've talked about on this very program, Shane McMahon does spots the other wrestlers aren't allowed to do, therefore making Shane McMahon look like a better wrestler than Randy Orton.
You're way off, buddy. No, I don't think it makes him look like a better wrestler. It makes him look like a better spot monkey.
To the wrestling fan, we're not talking about these smarts or the smarks or whatever you
People
want
don't
to
know
call
what
it.
ROH is.
Yeah, what is ROH? Is there any in here?
No, I think it's going to be on HDTV.
Anyway, to the wrestling fan, the general wrestling fan, and you know what? All you people that watch the show would consider yourself a smart wrestling fans. I think you're all marks, just like we are. We're all.
I'm no Mark.
I'm a mark. Frank's a mark. Damien's a mark.
Not in February.
I'm marking the tape.
Because he knows how.
But the thing is that Shane McMahon is going to do all this different stuff. They're like, why can't all these other wrestlers do that? Shane McMahon must be great. And when Shane McMahon is in a program with you, that doesn't elevate you at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it elevates any wrestler when Shane McMahon is working with them. Because Shane McMahon gets to do more stuff than the other wrestlers can do.
Especially when he's only been at this maybe a month, right? It's been a month since he
3
came up.
weeks.
Okay, a bunch of high
Well,
spots and.
Many fans, I think he's still at least top of mind for most fans. They know who Shane is and may not know what he has been able to do in the past. As you look at his wrestling career, it goes all the way back to, it's about 10 years.
Posse.
Yeah, back in '98, and so that match should
Joey
be...
Abs, Pete Gas.
That match should be interesting, especially given the character of Randy Orton and the popularity of Randy Orton right now with fans. You almost see a Stone Cold Steve Austin effect happening with Randy Orton. They are trying their damnedest to make him a heel, including in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago, where they brought him out before the show and he ran down his hometown so he wouldn't get cheered on air.
Yeah.
They are running into a similar scenario. Remember, Stone Cold was supposed to be a heel, folks. When he cut that promo right here in Milwaukee, Austin 3:16 says, "I just kicked your ass." That was supposed to make him a heel. He became, obviously, one of the most popular wrestlers in the history of wrestling. They have a risky scenario developing with Orton, but if he does it really hurt anybody?
Right, but in order to, and WWE would love this, for Randy Orton to take that same path as Steve Austin. However, Austin was by himself when he won at, he did have a manager in the beginning.
14.
Right, but when he said Austin 3:16 and he basically said get that piece of garbage out of the, to Jake the Snake, that's the difference here is Randy Orton has kind of a stable in a way, and I don't think it'll work unless he's by himself. But you're right, the fans are starting to, I'm liking this, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just more sales, more people like him, or buy his T-shirt. But he has to do it by himself.
T-shirt right now.
He has to do it by himself. If he has two other people, I don't know if he could be elevated to the Steve Austin way of things about 10 years ago. So.
2 Elimination Chamber matchups, one from the SmackDown side of things, one on the Raw side of things, both for the championships of those respective brands. First of which on SmackDown. Champion Edge obviously defending against The Undertaker, The Big Show, Triple H, Jeff Hardy, and Vladimir Kozlov. Who do you think starts it, and who do you think is the last man standing, Frank? 2 men start, obviously, similar to the rules of the Royal Rumble.
Khali will be starting it.
Khali's not in it.
I'm sorry, did I say
Kozlov?
Kozlov. Who's going to be matched up with right off the bat? Undertaker? I think it's got to be somebody big, maybe. I don't know. This is a tough one for me.
I say Kozlov starts off with Triple H to keep that going.
Yeah, that would
Remember,
make sense.
Kozlov is technically undefeated right now. Technically.
Hope it won't come off as flat as when Devon and Ray were fighting each other in the Against All Odds. Fans, for whatever reason, didn't care about, which was surprising to me. It's not like when Axe and Smash were the first 2 entrants into the Royal Rumble. I don't remember what year, but that was like, oh my God, they're wrestling each other. And they, I wondered why they didn't just sit there for 2 minutes and wait for the next competitor and keep eliminating everybody, and then one of them would have won at least, but be that as it may.
Anyways, Frank wasn't done?
Yeah, he was.
No, I think Triple H wins this.
Oh, okay. Triple H, really?
Yeah.
But then he takes the title. But then again, Edge has no opponent for WrestleMania at this point.
Ta-da.
Triple H. Damn, you're smart. Meathead, your unimportant opinion?
That's not necessarily true.
That it's an opinion?
That it's unimportant. In this Elimination Chamber, 4 former champions.
Jeff Hardy,
Triple H, Taker,
Edge,
Big Show, and the champion. So the only one in there that hasn't had the belt is Kozlov. Kozlov won't win it. Kozlov may have started with Triple H, like I agreed with Frank. But your winner coming out of the match, I'd like to see the Big Show.
Well,
very well.
I think your first 2 are Jeff Hardy and Edge in this matchup, because Edge is going to have to prove himself in this matchup. That'll be the story anyways, and get all the way through it. And then I think your winner is, I'm going to have to go with Frank's philosophy in it, being Triple H, because really that's, I mean, maybe it's the Undertaker versus Edge at WrestleMania, but I think it's Triple H. At this point, it makes
Can't
no
be
sense.
Undertaker Edge.
Jeff Hardy's
Yeah.
going to be busy with his brother.
Didn't they do that?
Last
2
year
years
was
ago?
last year was
Last year,
Undertaker
Taker
Edge.
Edge. Top of the card.
That's the Charles Robinson run down the monstrously long aisle.
Yes.
He ran faster than
that actually was very funny when he did it.
guy
We're all
in
laughing.
what is it, a Verizon commercial? Elimination Chamber, the final one. This one will probably be the main. John Cena defending his title against Chris Jericho and 2 fans, and Rey Mysterio. No, it's Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio was the fan, wasn't he?
Kofi Kingston. No, the fans were too tall.
Boom!
Kofi
Boom!
Kingston, Mike Knox, and Kane. Now, this one we talked about being a little interesting. Mike Knox, Kofi Kingston being in this matchup. I like the fact that they took this surprise element and put these 2 people in, because they really had other bigger names they could have picked from. But Kofi's just fun to watch. Mike Knox is and somewhat of an interesting
Got a
character
big beard.
at this point, just beating up people for no reason.
He's got a big,
But
big,
Frank,
big
your thought,
beard.
who starts and who ends it in this Elimination Chamber for
I
World
think it's
Heavyweight
going to be
Championship?
Rey Mysterio, Mike Knox in the beginning.
So we can throw Ray around.
Throw Ray around a little bit. This is a tough one. Again, I'm trying to think what scenario makes the most sense. I see Cena winning this thing.
As I was about to say, Super Cena is going to come out with the belt, and Super Cena will go up against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which is the most likely to happen. I'd like to see Kofi last a long time. Kofi start, and Kofi make it down to the final 2.
That would make sense. What doesn't make sense is Chris Jericho.